At some point in your life, you probably have at least once asked yourself the question whether everyone experiences colors the same way you do. For example, for all we know, another person's experience of red could be either the same as your red, your green, or a color experience completely alien to you if you could somehow see it. Together with other sensory experiences, this makes the experience of color an incomparable quality. Color tries its best to objectively describe physical attributes, but in reality it necessarily fails at doing so because it's an entirely subjective experience made up by your brain with limited information. Or, as Michael from Vsauce from 12 years ago has elegantly put forth this conundrum.
Color as we know it does not exist in the outside world, beyond us, like gravity or protons do. Instead, color is created inside our heads. I can measure the wavelength of radiation, but I can't measure or observe the experience of a color inside your mind.
This subjectivity permeates every human sensory experience. Each person's brain essentially is a black box that takes in a range of different stimuli gathered by our senses and converts these abstract signals into what we call our perceived continuous reality. We can still objectively measure the chemical and electrical signals in our brains, but the moment your brain interprets these signals and hallucinates the illusion of color, we are neither able to measure that specific subjective experience nor compare its subjective quality to that of another person. The only meaningful and unsurprisingly flawed way to communicate our subjective experience of color is by using other means of communication, like language or pointing at a physical object that evokes this color experience.
So, how do I know that when you and me look at a strawberry, and in my brain this perception occurs, which I call red, that in your brain a perception like this doesn't occur? Which you have, of course, also learned to call red. We both call it red, we communicate effectively, and walk away, never knowing just how different each of our internal experiences really were.
In essence, the subjective experience of a color is incomparable between individuals. We can only compare color discriminability, that is, how well we can differentiate between different wavelengths of light and combinations thereof. This is how we know that a percentage of the human population does in fact see colors differently compared to the norm, in two opposite directions to be specific. Firstly, some people have color vision deficiencies that decrease the dimensionality of their color vision. We can effectively measure this decreased ability to distinguish between certain metameric colors. Metamers are colors that look the same in a certain color vision but actually have different spectral compositions. For example, for a red-green dichromat, these two colors can look like having the same hue, and they could confuse them as being the same color. But for a normal trichromat, these two colors look so different that they could never confuse them. Secondly, an incredibly small percentage of people have better than average color vision thanks to a functional and sufficiently distinct fourth cone type in their eye's retina. This extra cone type allows them to tell apart metameric colors that look identical to normal trichromats. As a tetrachromat myself, I'm often surprised by how few colors everyone else around me can distinguish, even though I already understand all the peculiarities of such a higher dimensional color vision. For example, these two yellows, one is a mix of red and green light and the other is a spectrally pure yellow, would in real life both evoke the same color experience for normal trichromats, but I would subjectively see them as two completely different colors and hue categories. These examples showcase that even with the knowledge that some people can either see fewer or more colors than the norm, color quality still remains incomparable, and only color discriminability can be measured and compared. This ultimately means that the question, is your red the same as my red, cannot be directly answered, at least for now. This is known as the explanatory gap. More than 12 years later, we are still at the same stalemate as Vsauce was back then.
But for now, it remains the case that we have no way of knowing if my red is the same as your red.
Yet, the reality of color is more complex than that. What we can prove is that color quality is not nearly as important as color discriminability. Digital colors are incredibly adjustable with the right software and serve as a good example to explore this visual conundrum. In a digital color context, we can easily swap the red and green color channels, for example, and thereby simulate how trichromatic color qualities could look like if two cone types, and thereby also their color qualities, were swapped. To better visualize this color swap, let's look at the simplified cone curve system of normal trichromacy. The cone curve you can see here for each cone type is its normalized response spectrum to monochromatic spectral stimuli. Although it's a huge simplification, each cone type roughly introduces a line of colors. At one end of each line is black, and at the other is the cone type's fully bright and saturated unique color quality. The combination of these three one-dimensional color spaces yields the virtual three-dimensional color space of normal trichromacy. The best example that this is a good approximation of how human color vision works in an additive color mixing context are the colors you can currently see on your screen. Your screen only has bluish, greenish and reddish subpixels. There's no subpixel for pure yellow light, for example. Yet your eyes can still be fooled into seeing a lifelike yellow on your screen because a retinal red-green combination collapses into a yellow color in normal trichromacy, even though there can be RGB displays with no trace of purer yellowish wavelengths. Oversimplified, this means that the S cone introduces a blue, the M cone a green, and the L cone a red color dimension. So, if we now swap the cone curves like this, with normal trichromacy at the top left, in the following examples you will see for yourself that even if cone types and color qualities have been interchanged, color discriminability largely remains the same. Of course, this isn't factoring in yet that each color also has its own distinct luminance level. For example, green is perceived as brighter than red, and red in turn is perceived as brighter than blue. But for demonstrational purposes, we can ignore this characteristic for now, because it only has a minimal effect in this exemplary context. In the following, we are going to use my recently released application, Custom Color Vision, to alter our color vision in real time. It uses customizable color spectra, essentially simple images that adjust all digital colors by altering the color quality of trichromatic hues and their related colors. This makes custom color vision very simple to use, and your color vision extremely modifiable and customizable. And you only need a simple image to share your personally customized color vision with other people. In combination with the accompanying free online color texture designer application, Custom Color Vision becomes a powerful tool to customize and augment your own color vision. As the first example, we'll start with a nice little walk through my local botanical garden. In the top left, you can see everything colored in normal colors, but the other three color alter displays show how the same scene looks like if we interchanged our three cone types and their color qualities in different ways. The thing is, each color vision here looks like it's very different. However, you have to remember that we can't compare color quality between individuals. We can only test our color discriminability. This means that each of these four color visions, however strange they might look to you right now, would still test for normal trichromacy in an official color vision test. 4 different people, each with one of these 4 color visions, would all still call red, red and green, green, never knowing that each of them saw the world in completely different colors. Because each of these 4 trichromacies are equally trichromatic, you can test their functionality and their return to normalcy for yourself. Just focus on one of the 3 color-adjusted displays for the rest of the video. And although colors will look weird in the beginning, after some time to adjust your eyes and mind, you'll start to see this color vision as your new normal. Your brain is surprisingly adaptable when it comes to color. As long as these colors are in a trichromatic color context, you can easily become used to consistent changes in color quality. Of course, at the end of the video, you can return to this point, focus on a different display, and see the same color magic happen again. Now, let's look at some more exciting and diverse real-life colors. Here's the same botanical garden, but let's examine these colorful flowers here. In normal trichromacy, these flowers glow in magenta, yellow, purple, red, white, and other strong hues against a greenish background of leaves. However, in the other three trichromacies, the same flower field looks very different, almost alien even. Despite this alienation, color discriminability isn't impaired at all. The same flowers stick out as in normal trichromacy, just in different subjective color qualities. Again, 4 people, each born with one of these 4 different color visions, would all still call yellow flowers yellow and magenta flowers magenta, since that's what they've learned to call these subjective color experiences. Without any possibility to directly compare their subjective color experiences, these 4 people are doomed to communicate colors via language, a medium that can only refer to colors, but without any means to transfer the specific subjective color experience from one individual to another. Color vision really is a weird phenomenon when you're considering all of this. So, as long as normal trichromatic color discriminability is maintained, none of these 4 people would ever suspect that the others are seeing alienated worlds of color compared to their own. And even you yourself would eventually get used to any one of these altered color visions if you've lived with it for long enough. In fact, the longer you've spent non-stop having such an oddly colored trichromacy, the stranger your normal color vision will eventually start to look. As a digital example, I'm using Minecraft because of its modifiability and strong colors. In Minecraft, we can easily modify our environment and put a way greater variety of colors next to each other. A variety that would be difficult to achieve in real life. When walking along a path that leads through colorful flower fields, you will notice that just like in the real-life examples, the 3 color-adjusted displays will look alien at first. But the longer you're focusing on one of them, the more normal its color qualities will eventually start to look. Of course, you kind of have to blend out the other 3 screens for this to optimally work, since their direct comparison undermines this effect a little bit. This digital example also leads us to the same insight. Whether red roses are actually red or another hue like green or blue doesn't matter, as long as they contrast with a consistent hue against other consistent colors. 4 people, each born with one of these 4 different color visions, would all still call the flower colors by their correct names, never knowing what the others actually saw. Since color discriminability is not impaired, once you've learned into which new color a former color quality has been changed, you will be able to correctly name that color just like before. And another person that has normal color vision and is playing Minecraft with you would never be able to guess that your color vision differs greatly from their own. You could make an entire Minecraft server where everyone has a trichromacy with different color qualities. And while it would be chaotic at first, once the people have learned to call the colors, blocks and items by their correct names despite swapped color qualities, they will still be able to effectively communicate just like before. This would be a great experiment that can be easily realized with my custom color vision application. Thanks to digital technology and software like custom color vision, you're not stuck with your mundane color experiences anymore, but you can customize and alter your color vision in a fixed digital trichromatic color context however much you want. The 3 color-adjusted displays are only 3 examples out of many that you can explore for yourself. To prove that color discriminability isn't impaired in any of these adjusted trichromacies, we can conduct an online test for color vision deficiencies. Although such online colorblind tests have flaws of their own, in this context they are good enough to test these alienated trichromacies for any obvious color deficiencies. If you're a normal trichromat, each of these dotted test plates should visibly show you a number. In all 4 color visions, the color qualities of the dots are mostly different, yet you can still discern each number in every display. When excluding the distinct luminance level each hue has, this proves that swapped color qualities have little to no effect on color discriminability. A color-blind test like this one here will be just as easy to complete with a color swap vision as with your normal color vision. Michael from Vsauce has already put this pervasive loneliness of our subjective experiences that we are destined to endure into great words.
So, we are all alone with our perceptions. We are alone in our own minds. We can both agree that chocolate tastes good, but I cannot climb into your consciousness and experience what chocolate tastes like to you. I can never know if my red looks the same as your red, but I can ask.
So although I can never truly know what your red looks like, and you'll never directly perceive my quail of red, I can still ask you, for example, what your favorite color is. With that said, I invite you to make a comment about your favorite color below the video and describe it as best as you can and in as much detail as you think is necessary to accurately convey your subjective experience of it. Since color discriminability among humans is relatively homogeneous, with a few exceptions of course, you'll still find a common ground with others in the comments when it comes to color. Despite the incomparability of color qualia between individuals and the fundamental flaws of language when it comes to communicating what a color personally looks like to you. The 4 color-swapped trichromacy examples of this video are only a tiny selection of the amazing color visions that an active community can design, share and explore with the custom color vision application, an incredible tool that allows complete personalization and customization of your digital color vision. The amount of unique color spectra and color visions you can create with this app by far exceeds the amount of atoms in the observable universe, so it's safe to say that you'll always be able to discover something new. With enough creativity, you can design normally unthinkable and unbelievable color visions, literally reinventing human color vision in the process. If you're interested in custom color vision, want to try it out for yourself and customize your color vision, it's now available on itch.io under the same name. Currently, the most effective way to support me as a creator, apart from subscribing, liking and watching my videos, is by purchasing and utilizing custom color vision. Not only does this directly support my work, but it also provides you with a valuable product in return. I am Oogway, and I will show you how to reshape and enhance your sensory experiences, because it is nothing but our senses that connect us to this world. Have fun watching and learning all these amazing colors. Thanks for watching.